because you were the one who was still talking. So you can continue from there.
Okay, biodiversity for food and agriculture includes all the life, all living organisms on Earth that are relevant to the food and agriculture production. So it does not include just the plants and animals we eat, but it also includes uh, microorganisms that are in the soil or pollinators that are needed for the pollination of our crops. So it includes basically all the biodiversity that is relevant to food and agriculture. And what we need to see is that we are losing this biodiversity. We're losing diversity because, for example, we have an increase of the cultivation of monoculture crops. And that, of course, means that a lot of the land races and traditional farmers' varieties disappear from our fields. And one of the tasks of this strategy is to make sure that countries and the relevant stakeholders conserve biodiversity, conserve crop diversity, conserve animal diversity in the field, and also in gene banks.
Okay, I can see FAO is doing a lot of projects, a lot of initiatives that is really trying to bring in a lot of impact in terms of biodiversity in the African region. What is your comment in terms of developing nations compared to first world in terms of our biodiversity initiative with your experience?
Well, first of all, it is important to note that in a lot of developing, in particular, a lot of southern African countries, there is a huge amount of biodiversity, which is therefore, why is this therefore so important that these countries really take care of their biodiversity and consider it as an enormous wealth, right? And this is not necessarily the case in most northern countries,
Okay.
right? So this is a treasure which we try to convince countries to value and to conserve for their agricultural food systems. Every country is dependent on genetic resources for breeding, for raising the yields of their crop systems, for raising the yields of animal production. So therefore it is important to conserve this biodiversity and to use it for the sake of food security and for also the sake of feeding more people. As we know, the population is growing and we need to feed these growing population.
Okay, thank you very much. In terms of the Paris Agreement, which was about the nation when they were talking about the issues to do with the climate change, what is the linkage between the biodiversity and also the climate change in your views?
Well, there are very important linkages. One linkage is that climate change threatens biodiversity.
Okay.
On the one hand. On the other hand, we do know that if we want to adapt our agricultural systems to climate change, we need biodiversity because biodiversity provides some kind of a reservoir of many options to adapt our agricultural system to the new conditions, to new climatic conditions. So therefore biodiversity, yes, is threatened by climate change, but it is on the other hand very important and needed to adapt our agricultural systems to the consequences of climate change.
Very good. At the moment, we are also running you can see that the world is now going through the technology, this era of evolution of the technology like artificial intelligence. And in terms of the biodiversity, what is also maybe your comment in terms of the people who are also working closely on these initiatives?
Well, I mean, artificial intelligence, I think, is now sort of becoming a major cross-sectoral issue in basically all fields of our life, of our practical life, and therefore artificial intelligence also plays a role in the genetics, right? It has a major role there, but I think in genetics it is more also the issue of biotechnology that is really important. And there is some kind of alignment of these technologies. So biotechnology is using to a larger and larger extent also artificial intelligence, and this will continue in the future.
That's very good. That's very good. By the way, you were saying your name is Mr.
Dan Leskien.
Dan Leskien, and you are based where in Africa? Or in...
No, I'm based in Rome at the FAO headquarters.
Ah, that's very good. And which division are you representing?
I'm representing the Office of Climate Change, Biodiversity and Environment, but I'm currently the officer in charge of the Commission on Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture, which is an intergovernmental body consisting of 179 member countries.
I see. And how long have you been doing all that?
I've been doing this now for 19 years.
19 years, that's a very long time.
Very long time.
Ah, very good. So which means your experience was always in the Western nations, or you also some time also in the African region and other nations?
No, I mean, We are based in Rome. Our secretariat is based in Rome and has always been based in Rome. But of course, we are usually also a lot in the different regions because we want to convince the regions to actually implement the frameworks and the policy guidance which the Commission adopts. So therefore, we are going to the field. We are visiting countries and the regions, like in this workshop, to actually talk to countries and make sure that they have all the means they need to implement our policies which the Commission adopted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.